Hey guys, and all welcome back to another video, a little bit of a different video than the usual, given that we had DPPs drop on the last night around midnight, as I said in, I think it was the fantasy video as well as probably the Supercoach, that they came out really early with the DPPs and getting everything unlocked. It usually takes longer, so fair play to both versions of the game, or both versions of the footy fantasy to get that out pretty quickly. So anyway, just going to run through my general thoughts on all of them as we've got the article in front of us, or in front of me at least, and it will be in front of you in a second. Here, going through all of the I guess all the players, etc., and how they are going to I guess fare in their new position, how much relevance they have. But before we jump into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. If you are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there, and let's jump in. So Rory Laird, top of the list. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys here so that you can see it. Rory Laird there, as of course I do that. Rory Laird, midfield initially, but now has defender midfielder. And I'm probably just going to skip over the guys that are irrelevant, etc., as there's quite a lot of guys that obviously when you change position lose relevancy. But Rory Laird is definitely an intriguing one. If we just go here, these are adding defender ones. We'll just set it like this. And if we look at Rory Laird now in terms of the defenders, he's coming in, or what's that, roughly 3, 6, 8, 10. He's coming in, I think, 12th or 13th for defenders, with an average of total points of 447, 89 average or so. If we go to the averages, I think he drops another couple. Yeah, you got John Noble, Nick Martin, and guys like that who jump him just slightly. So he falls down just another couple slots to top 15 or so, and I think that's where he's going to lay, and that's just not where we want to sort of upgrade to. He's near enough the same averaging as the likes of Matty Roberts, about 0.6 higher, so you're not going to be trading Roberts to him or a rookie to him. We're in upgrade season now where you're trying to upgrade these mid prices first of all to the premiums, and then the rookies sort of get into that mid-price range, and then you can upgrade them later. So that's what we're looking at with Rory Laird, and that's why he's not going to be relevant. Same can be said on SuperCoach as well. If we just go to the defender category, you will see Rory Laird is 16th for total points, and if we go to averages, he falls down to 20th. So same thing applies to him there, and you have even like Matty Roberts ahead of him anyway. So that is Rory Laird. Blicavs, not even going to mention him. Hamling, no. Weeks, no. Josh Dacos is one that I thought would be better than he is at the moment. I don't know what exactly he's averaging 87, so he's just basically copy and paste what I said for Rory Laird, but do it with Josh Dacos, and that's what you get there. He is sadly just not going to be relevant because he's just not getting enough of the ball. Steele Sidebottom and also Scott Pendlebury are just somehow back to their ultimate best, and they're looking a lot better, and that's why Josh Dacos hasn't had to do much, but he's had a pair of 99s as well as a couple of 80s, and that's just not good enough for the defender line. We're looking for guys averaging 100 or 105, and I feel like he's going to be mid-90s in the end of it. I think he'll get better, but I don't think he will be near enough the top of the line. Reece McGuinness, ACL, but at least next year we will get him in the defender forward. You would expect defender flat next year, and just in terms of next year, he's going to be priced at 3 games 34, so it would be priced with a 21% discount on 34, I'd hazard a guess. Yeah, he's going to be priced at discount of, what's that even further, so he'd be priced at 34.3 times 0.79, so he's going to be priced about 27, which if you equated that to what it was this year, he would be priced at about and I keep on doing that, 277k or so, I think would be what he was roughly priced at next year. So I got to look at next year but not this year, as he had a couple of 50 scores, so there was potential there if he gets it, if he gets back into the team next year off the back of an ACL surgery that he's going to have. Sadly, season over for him, but yeah, just a nice little pickup for next year that, I mean, he's not going to hold forward status, but he'll be a straight defender at rookie price. Finn O'Sullivan, benches the defender status as well. That could be interesting, just trying to get that extra defender on field or something like that. You can put him into the defender line as well and free up more midfield space, because a lot of us have just a lot of midfielders there, etc. So that just allows us to get more maneuverability there, but not really fancy or SuperCoach relevant much. In terms of trading in, Jimby, Harley Reid, get defender stats, not relevant. Neither is Silvani, neither is Holland. Holland, we knew from preseason that this would happen. Jasper Fletcher, I don't think so, but he's been all right in the last couple of games. I don't think he's been outstanding, but he's been pretty good. The last couple games, he's gone 101 and 98, so that is a slight watch. I think he's had a role change, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, if we just go to Fletcher, Jasper Fletcher, if we go here to Jasper Fletcher, you will see the last couple games he's not really had a role change. He's just sort of picked up more of the ball, which is a little bit surprising, but he's just using the ball so well. So we'll see how that sort of develops and if he can consistently get some more scores, but I just don't think he will be relevant in the long run. Baker, Gallagher, Shield is an interesting one. I don't remember what he scored in the game on the weekend. He ended up scoring 91, just not relevant there. As you can see, he was at his best on the weekend for 91, and so just not relevant. But he did have a really good game. Petty wins a Stone. Stone just gets more flexibility there, simply put. Hasty, doesn't matter. He's out of most sides anyway. And then that's that. Then adding midfield status, a lot of these probably don't matter too much because it's a midfielder. And we already you want the solo midfielders. So these guys you'd want anyway in the forward line rather than in the midfield. But it can give you greater flexibility is what I'll say in terms of fielding the rookie options in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. But it also just means, they're just not as relevant, I would say, in the long run, these primos getting midfielder status. So Isaac Rankin, you would want him in the forward line anyway, but as I said, just gets more flexibility. Dan Curtin doesn't really matter too much. I think he's been playing on a wing. You'd expect him to slide sometime soon in the next year or two on ball a fraction, but we'll see when that develops. Ollie Florence been playing on the wing, but could even get dropped. He's been in that bad form. Corey Warner, not relevant much, but just gives you more flexibility, means that you don't have a couple of forward locked players anymore, but a lot of the players anyway that are forward have DPPs like Stone, Hewitt, Warner. Then you're going to grab, there will be Davidson on this list as well, I'm pretty sure. And just trying to think off the top of my head who else is there or thereabouts. Max Hall has it anyway as well. So a lot of those forwards aren't just solely forwards anymore, except for I think Caden Cleary. He's the only relevant forward that's forward only, I think. Perryman gets defender mid, not relevant anymore. I think there's also a potential for him to have an injury, I want to say, or he's in doubt with some injury for their next game. Or Weller, Budrick, but that could be wrong. I could be naming the wrong Pies player, but I'm pretty sure it was Perryman. Budrick, McCurch has been on a wing and it's killed his usefulness. Hamilton Jr. doesn't matter. Sheasel, this is just good flexibility. Him, Sinclair, you now have flexibility in that defender line to maneuver those guys around to get that next best rookie on field, because we all want the scores of Trainer, Reed, and Bice on field almost at this point in time. They're much, much better. So you can just chuck one of the midfielders down there. If you have a spare defender, if you have that 9th or 10th defender, then you can start to really look at that. Dua, Fraser, Davidson, mid forward, as I said, Trezai, Sonsi, and then Jack McRae as well. This was an obvious one coming because he's back in that midfield role and he looks great. Obviously has had a down couple of weeks, but he's still, you would expect, to be top of the line unless he just gets tagged out of all the games that he has. And then the ruck line, Sam De Koning only won, but he's lost that role anyway, so it's not going to be relevant. And then we get down to the forward line. This is probably the most interesting line, I would say, out of everything, because we know that forward line tends to be, if we don't get what we got in 2023, was it, where we had Canelio, Taranto, who was it? Butters, Rosie, who was that? There was an Adelaide player, I swear. There was someone else there. There was Heaney as well. No, Heaney was the year later. I forget what 2023 was, but there was that you basically picked the 6 forwards were the best 6 anyway. Dylan Moore, I don't even think got into the best forwards, best 6 forwards there. You didn't have to consider the key forwards that year. It was just smooth sailing, simply put. James Peatling adds forward stats. Don't think that makes him relevant, just because unless some reshuffle happens, and also he's suspended for a week anyway, but unless some reshuffle happens in the midfield mix for Adelaide and he's suddenly getting 60% CBAs for a bulk like 3, 4, 5 weeks, I don't see Peatling being relevant. Sid Draper, he's just not getting enough chance, simply put. I think he put up 50, but he was 50, 55 or so on the weekend, but he was put in the forward line, so that just wasn't relevant, or wasn't good enough, sorry. Paddy Dangerfield, mid forwards. This one I don't think is relevant. If we go to the forward line and we go here to Dangerfield, I don't know what he's putting up. Average 75. No, there's just no way that this is relevant at all. So yeah, he's not going to be top of the line, so you can scrap that thought. Next player up is Chad Warner. This is an interesting one. I looked at it in the my fantasy team review, as I've got it set to defenders. Let's change this to forwards. Chad Warner, 499k in SuperCoach. I don't know what he's averaging, but I don't think it was too good or too flash, sorry. He's averaging 90 in SuperCoach. And he subbed out on a 54, so you can take that out basically because they were smoking them so badly and to the point that he just subbed out. He couldn't be bothered to play. Take that out and he's averaging 99. No, 90. Yeah, 99. 99. 396 divided by 4 is 99. So 99 average player. He's probably going to go, if he scores 100 again, say he scores 100 again, then he goes down 28k to 470k. 470k, that's a pretty, can you straight swap him for, well, that would be a straight swap for like, for the likes of like Roberts, but yeah, you could probably straight swap him with guys like not a Max Hall potentially, but like, yeah, you could do, I think, yeah, Max Hall potentially still on my side this week, just thinking about it. Max Hall and like a Pryor or whatever. So you could do that, and then suddenly that's you get Chad Warner there, and you have I don't even know, you've got a D6, an F6 of like a Levi Ashcroft there or something, or rather some forward that's just there. So yeah, you could do that. I think that's sort of the route that I'm looking at, is Chad Warner, Petracca, etc. There's quite a lot here that I'm looking at, but Chad Warner is someone that not too keen on in fantasy, just because he doesn't rack up enough numbers. But his impact games, his top of the line games in SuperCoach can be interesting. I don't know what his career high is. If we go to SuperCoach, does it show career high? Versus opponents, let's just see. 172, 164, 155, 148. So he's got like 3 or 4 scores above 170 or so. Let's just go to Chad Warner here and just sort of look at him, because I'll spend more time on the forward line than any other line, just because it's more interesting, because we don't have sort of the top. You don't have a basket full. In the defender line, you've sort of got 12 guys that are all near enough the top of the line that you can, they're better than the rest. They've got the role, etc. The midfield, you've got 15 to 20 guys that are going to be there. Whereas the forward line, it's like 4 or 5 guys, and then there's a big drop off again, etc. So there's a lot of bit part guys, I feel like, in the forward line comparative to other lines, even though I butchered that explanation. But if we look at Chad Warner, this is on SuperCoach last year in round 22 against Collingwood, put up a 164, so he's done that before, and a 172, 144, 135. So he's done all that previously, a 125 as well against. So if we look, when Sydney were winning, because they're going to start to get the troops back, right? And I think they come up to an easier run, if my memory serves me correctly, but I could be wrong. Who do they have next 3 weeks? Port Adelaide, they never perform well against Port Adelaide, but that'll be interesting. Gold Coast, they never perform well against Gold. So maybe it is just wait a couple of weeks anyway about that. I actually like this run from round 9. Round 9, then 10 against Carlton, round 11 against Melbourne, round 12 against Adelaide, round 13 against Richmond, then plays Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, which is a rough matchup. Then the Bulldogs. But that could be when Errol Goulden is aiming around about this marker here. Is aiming Port Adelaide, I think, to be back. Western Bulldogs, Freo, St Kilda. So I would wait 3 or 4 weeks with the likes of Chad Warner just to see with him. and that's when I would target him. I just want to see if I can do sort of a projection for his price point. If he goes, say, a flat 100 across the board, we will just adjust this slightly for Gold Coast and for the likes of GWS. Let's see. What's he going to be priced at? I genuinely think you could get a Chad Warner, who you expect to average 100, and get him in and around that 450 marker for Essendon. I think that could be a really good play. I think this could be a really good play. Add to the 4 to 5 weeks. Maybe you're struggling for an upgrade, realistically so, around that point, and you're struggling to get one up, one down, etc. And Chad Warner's just presenting at 450 and has some spike games potentially against Essendon where he averages 115. So you can bump that up to 120. And then suddenly he starts flying up in price a little bit more. And yeah, Essendon is a big game, as well as the Roos, in which he got subbed out for 54. But outside of that, he's really done well against the Roos as well. So yeah, definitely a guy to look at there. I've spent way too long on him. Campbell doesn't matter. McCartan doesn't matter. Hanley doesn't matter. Will Graham, no. Will Phillips, no. Lord, young Lord, Kep. Levi Ashcroft, this is probably just extends his longevity, I would say, in terms of being a rookie. You can place him in F6 and then just wait. Just wait. And then once he's done at F6, you can put him at M8 and then just wait some more. Simply put, he's going to be the last forward that you have on, and then he will be transitioned to the last midfielder you have on as a rookie, unless he maxes out at his price point, and then you're just like, yep, he needs to go because he's going to start to lose cash. That's the only thing we're waiting for with Levi Ashcroft, is when is he going to start to lose cash. O'Donnell, Draper, no. Martin, that's an interesting one. I don't know what he's averaging in SuperCoach. If we just go here, Martin. No, I need the filters here. Martin here. If I just go this way. Martin is averaging 90. Not the greatest. We'll see how he goes in terms of the long run. But yeah, not the greatest for Martin to be averaging 90. So maybe you'll just wait and see on his front comparative to others. Petracca is probably the next relevant one, and the last relevant one that I'll talk to. Henderson, doesn't matter. Layla, he's probably a trade out soon anyway. He did have a rest, but he's probably soon going to be a trade out. And then Murphy Reed as well, probably a trade out soon anyway. And Henderson as well might be a keeper just because he's got no value on his head. Petracca, this is an interesting one. If we go to Petracca, he's, I think, a lot more interesting in terms of the fantasy prospect comparative to the likes of Chad Warner. If we look at Petracca, his best is a 119 in SuperCoach, a 117, a 119, a 111, a 112, consistency, right? If we go to fantasy as well, and then I'll flick back to SuperCoach, fantasy as well, a 110, a 102, a 106. And then he had a shocking year where he got subbed out in that game as well on a 51. If you take out the sub out game, he averages 93.5. 93.5 is going to be top of the line in the forward line. Anyway, so you would, and his CBAs are still holding. He somehow got it there. He got the forward status somehow, but he got it, so that's good. But yeah, you can just see that he is a guy that's going to average somewhere in that 90 to 100 marker range, which is pretty much near enough top of the line. And then the same can be said about the forward here as well. He averaged 106 last year. If Melbourne can turn it around, which is not really going to happen, but if they can just turn it around to a somewhat degree, and Petracca can just get back to the numbers that he's doing, if his disposal efficiency can clean itself up, we're looking at a guy, I genuinely believe, that could... I mean, he's gone 98, 78, 80, 92. He's got a break even if we look here at Petracca, I think of about 100 and something. Let's just see. Petracca, his break even is 101. So it's not too bad, not too good. But yeah, I could see him in a week or two turning this around. He's not a guy that I want to trade in at the moment, but a guy that I just want to watch for a week or two, because if he's putting out 80s, not relevant, but he's putting out 105, 110s, that's when I start to get interested. His price isn't going to change that much in the next week or two, even if I say put in 100. If he pulls a 110 out against Freo, then I'm jumping. I am jumping on if he pulls a 110 out. But if we just, like, I'm just going to say this anyway. If he does a 110 here, like 487k, gettable, him or Warner next week, gettable. Even if I trade out Oliver and Roberts. But yeah, Richmond, yep, West Coast next couple of weeks. Then plays Hawthorn, which he might cop a tag in, but by then he'll be gaining value. So yeah, it's just a matter of does he play well against Freo at the MCG? Because then if he does, I'll be probably trading him in, as he is the most relevant forward, I think, just because he's got an ability to rack up 30 touches 5 and 5 and kick 2. Whereas Chad Warner doesn't really have that ability. Sydney are really struggling for ball winners. They're really struggling to get a guy over 25 touches a game, whereas Petracca does that semi-regularly. If we look here, he had 27, 21, 23, 23, 27, that injured game, 26, 24, 20, 21, 21, 23, 20, 29, 23, 29, 29, 26, 24. You can see the consistency there. It's not top line, but you can see the year before that, 29, 29, 22, 24. But then he also does it in the non-disposal work, as well as kicking basically a goal a game. And then you look at the likes of Warner, who tracks averaging 11.4, 12.9, 12.8. Whereas if you look at Warner here, 11.4, 12.8, you can see he is averaging about 3 less touches a game comparatively, and I think doing about the same tackle and non-tackle work, etc. And Chad, if we go here back again to Chad Warner, you can see he's actually down about 3 touches a game anyway this year. So yeah, just a watch here on both of these guys. I think for a week or two we get that sort of luck that they're near enough their bottom out their price cycle, but they're still a week or two away in terms of both of them, or they're not going to get away from us early. So I'd be waiting on Petracca just a minute. But yeah, that is the video there. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be the Sunday game reviews coming out on Tuesday, around about the 2-3 p.m. marker. And then you'll have later on Tuesday, the trade targets for SuperCoach and Fantasy. That will be also recorded today on Monday. And then on Wednesday night, it'll be a late recording for that. That'll be the team reveals for both Fantasy and SuperCoach. And then on the Thursday, you will have just straight up the predictions video. That'll be that for the Thursday, and then we'll get into the game reviews. But anyway, I'll see you guys in those videos later. Bye guys.